Next is relocatable classrooms. Ms. Kamen and Mr. Gist.
Good afternoon, everybody. Renee Kamen, School Planning. I'm here to report on the placements for the 2017 Relocatable program. I want to bring you attention to a revised attachment 3 that you would have received. Unfortunately, the spreadsheet that we were using was referencing a previous version, and we apologize for that. We had many last-minute requests for relocatables, and we were trying to balance everybody's requests with the deadline to get the report out, so we apologize for that. The report is recommending 7 new units to be placed, 3 at Manor Woods, 2 at Ellicott Mills Middle School, and 2 at Centennial. We plan our sources for relocatables from Deep Run Elementary School, Swansfield Elementary, and have 2 new purchases. So in total, we'll be moving 5 and purchasing 2 new units. And so with that, I'll take any questions.
Can you just let the public know how much a portable costs for its acquisition and then for its placement?
It's approximately $140,000 to $160,000 to place a brand new portable on site. That includes the purchase, engineering costs, survey costs, planning costs, and pulling permits. So it's about $160,000.
All in?
All in for a new one.
So for the 1,900 people who've asked me that question, that's the answer. Thank you. Ms. French.
All right. Who's going to get the newly purchased ones? Are you being heavily lobbied?
Well, we haven't decided where exactly each new unit is going, but one of those factors will be in terms of the capital improvement program that we have and any scheduled improvements. If they're being delayed, then the portable would be required to be there longer. So that's one of the considerations that we are taking into account.
Okay, so the school that would require it the longest would probably have the better chance of getting the brand new one.
Correct.
That's good logic to my thinking. Could I just please ask that whenever there's a change, that there be a date on it?
Oh, sure.
Then that helps us know which one to throw away or which one is more relevant. The other thing I wanted to say is thank heavens that you have identified 23 units to be demolished. And I would love you to explain the rationale for eliminating or demolishing these 23 units instead of moving them somewhere else.
Okay, so for the 23 units, most of those units for this year are actually included in current construction projects, so like Wild Lake Middle School and Deep Run Elementary School. They exceeded their serviceable life. In fact, for Deep Run, I believe they weren't using them anyway, so to close out the project, they're eliminating those three units. 3 of their 6.
Mr. Gist, can you give a more detailed explanation as to why these specific units, like deterioration, what would be a reason?
The 5-spot unit that was at the old Wild Lake Middle School facility was purchased. It was the first 5-spot unit we purchased a long time ago, right after we opened the Philadelphia Ridge Elementary School. Life, longevity, and a period and number of moves play in significantly into this. These things are not set up to move forever. Some of these units are built to last forever. I believe some of the units in question that we're demoing are CMSI units, and they have brick facades on them. That was one of a manufacturer that we used many years ago, so we choose to take them. And we choose to take the units that possibly could be serving as storage facilities as well.
I was at Centennial Lane the other day, and one mother asked me, how long will they have their relocatables? And I said, a very long time. But do they have, what I'm looking for is what is a reasonable lifespan for relocatables?
It depends on the unit, and it depends on how many times it's moved. If we can place a unit and keep it there for a long period of time, it obviously is going to have a longer lifespan. So we have units as much as 30 years old, I believe.
Thank you.
You could probably do a fundraiser for some kind of a demo, event where people can destroy them, kind of like Office Space. Dr. Altwerger.
Excuse me if I might be asking a couple of naive questions, but if you bear with me. One is looking at the proposed changes in the, I'm sorry, I might be reading this report wrong. Can you explain to me attachment 3? These are proposed changes, relocatable classrooms. My understanding is this is about capacity, correct? School
Yes.
capacity, am I right?
Yes, that's
All
correct.
right, then I interpreted correctly.
Yep.
So I guess my question has to do with Talbot Springs Elementary School, which the revised
Yeah.
chart, it's not as confusing as it's not as extreme as the previous one, but we went from 120% capacity to 72.4%. And so I'm wondering, do we want to create an undercapacity situation in a building by adding relocatables that are not necessarily needed?
So they actually are needed at Talbot Springs without relocatables. That's the percent utilization, so that's on attachment 3, 1, 2, 3, the fourth column. So without the relocatables, Talbot Springs would be at 124.4% utilization. I believe it was last year, put a new 5-spot unit out there. And they also had other relocatables out there, so that brought their utilization overall to 72.4%. So the building itself is overutilized, but when you add the temporary capacity, it goes under. And so that's the idea of the relocatable program, is if a building is well over capacity, we relieve it temporarily with the relocatable space. So hence the fourth column that says with relocatables.
I understand that.
Sure.
But in most of these, except for also Guilford Elementary, but for most of them, it leaves the capacity, by adding the relocatables, it brings the capacity down to very good levels, like 98%, 80%.
Correct.
But when it falls down to the 60s or the 70s, my question is whether we needed that many relocatables. Am I asking a silly question?
like
But
Clarksville?
Pre-K is not included in the capacity
Pre-K is not
number.
included in the capacity.
That's it.
So that's part of the reason as well.
Makes it,
I
we
gotcha.
need a fifth
Okay.
column.
Thank you.
And
Okay, that
potentially,
makes, I understand
sometimes
that.
this also allows the principal the flexibility of moving classes around during construction. Talbot Springs is being evaluated for the type of construction it might need, so.
I just
that's not
don't
a
want,
factor.
I guess my concern was we don't need to have more
So
relocatables than necessary to bring full utilization, but not overutilization or underutilization.
Right.
But I understand that if there's, we can't count the pre-K, and so, okay. All
All
right,
that space is being used.
yeah, it's being used.
yes.
Yes, okay. All right, second, maybe silly question. If we have 23 units that are to be, quote, demolished, is it possible that some of those units can be used by other organizations or can be bought by various entities that need temporary buildings, if they are not in horrible shape? So that, might
Can we
we
sell them?
even get some revenue for them?
The demo contractor generally takes it into consideration. When they leave us, they're their property, but we've seen in general that the quickest way and most efficient way and economical way to remove the trailers is to dispose them on site.
Well, of course, the demolition company benefits from having more of those demolished rather than saved for other purposes. Am I right?
Yes, demo contractors are
They like to
quite
wanna demolish.
ingenious in how they make money, and if they can find a buyer for a relo, I'm sure they're looking them up and reselling the things.
And we wouldn't get the revenue from that, or a
No, it's
percentage of
part of
that?
the contract for them to remove we don't price the project for the contractors to remove and resell, unless obviously maybe we had a unit that was a year old, but why would we do that with one of those units?
Right.
We're demoing the units that need to be demoed, and we're trying to cut our fleet down in numbers.
Well, it seems like we auction so many other things. Why don't we auction some relocatables that are savable and make a little money out from that? Just a thought.
Put it in the hopper, see what. Ms.
Thank you.
Delmont-Small.
I had sent a list of questions to Ms. Hanks regarding let me just pull them up. Regarding the relocatables, because when we're looking at this as board members, it would be helpful for us to have an understanding of the relocatables we actually have and what they look like to us. For example, relocatable number 1 is located at X, is how many years old, and is what type of unit. But we don't have that information. And the reason I'm asking is, as I said, it would give us a better perspective on what our relocatable, I guess, farm, for lack of, or stable looks like, as far as what we have to be able to put throughout the system. Because especially when we're demolishing 23, to me that seems like a large number. I'm not questioning that they should be demolished. I'm just saying that's a lot of relocatables, especially when I get calls from parents and staff saying, you know, they have 35 kids in their math classes, why can't we get more relocatables? And I know you have a very difficult job, so I don't know how you do it, but you do a very good job of balancing. And this dovetails on another issue, which is that in the capital budget every year, we get $1.5 million that goes for relocatables. And the data that's provided in the capital budget does not allow us to have an understanding of how that money was utilized and how much money is left over. Because if we would have that information as a board, we could look at that and say, okay, you're demolishing 23. However, when we look at the list, like Dr. Altwerger said, there are still some schools where even with the relocatables we have, they still have very high levels, high percentages of students. But if we could look and see, well, we still have X amount of money sitting in the hopper, we can ask, how are these resources being spent? Which I believe is in part a responsibility of the board since we approve the funding. So I don't think, Ms. Kamen, this is your bailiwick. I think is it your bailiwick?
It's our collective bailiwick.
Or collective.
We're working on the second part of your question. We just didn't have the opportunity to complete the research and verify the data. That number will be coming.
I would also like to add the inspection of the relocatable program is ongoing, and that occurs under our facilities, and so that is ongoing as well. I believe they are about 59% complete on that. They do their count by units, not classrooms. 23, the number that we're demolishing is the number of classrooms, but the real number of units is actually 14. So there is that difference. A single portable is counted as one classroom and one unit. A 5-spot might be one unit, but it's 5 classrooms. So they've gotten through about 123 of the entire unit count. And they're continuing on working on that, and they should have that done approximately end of summer 2017.
How often do you do the inspections?
I don't know that answer.
The last time we did it, we contracted out for services, And in an effort to minimize costs and maximize value, Ms. Claus in the facilities office volunteered to have her folks do it, and we're saving a significant amount of money and probably getting a better look across the board at what our maintenance staff and facility staff has to maintain. And so, like Renee said, we've done 123 out of our 198 units total. I'm talking about units of a 5-spot unit, which would be a 5-classroom unit, and 9. That counts as 1 in that total. If you're looking for a total of classrooms, I believe it's like 244.
Why
244.
do we have that many?
Yeah.
So, because I know in one of the questions that I asked was the condition of the unit. So, if it hasn't been looked at yet, just either, you could make a notation with the previous year. You understand what I'm saying? Don't wait on it, just to provide the information. Because we can't build schools out, they just don't grow. There's a long process involved. And we're using relocatables as a way to make sure that we try to keep our classrooms manageable for our educators and for our teachers and our administrators. So I'm just saying that it would be very helpful to have that information when this type of report is brought to us, so that we could have a better sense of what the universe is. So thank you.
Mrs. Coombs.
In looking at this email that you had sent earlier today, of these inspected, 49% of the fleet is in good or excellent condition, and 51% of the units are in fair condition. I was in a portable at Glenwood the other day, and it smelled to high heaven. I don't know what has died in it or something, but is smell considered as part of condition? Because I was glad I was only in there for 20 seconds.
Of course it would be.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is done to mitigate things like that?
Is that units being currently used as a classroom?
Yup.
With kids in there?
Oh, yes.
And you couldn't tolerate being in there?
No.
Okay.
Which school was that?
Well, let's
Glenwood.
not- Oh, okay.
Was it before or after they took Jim?
So
Was
I don't
that
know how they were
recently?
working.
Was that recently?
If you call Monday, recently.
So could someone put that on a to-do list to go check out? Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. I know it probably sounds like those of us, people who complain about portables but then ask for more, it's all part of the whole program. You don't have to like them to want them to be in good shape, and I'd love to, how they do the pumpkin chunkin things. We could really make an event out of that. People would love to throw rocks at a portable, maybe pay 50 cents a rock. Dr. Altwerger.
Just a quick question. I'm afraid to hear the answer. I know that they all must be heated, but
Yes.
do they all have air
Yes.
conditioning?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, is that everybody for Ms. Delmont-Small? Is this on the same things? Okay.
Question. Manor Woods Elementary?
Yes.
Okay, so they have one, and you're proposing to give them 3 more.
So it'd be 4 total. So if you go to attachment 3 revised and look at Manor Woods Elementary School, you'll see that without the portables, they will be at 120% utilization, and with the portables, all 4, they'd be down to 104.6 utilization.
So we don't have any, I know, just bear with me on the
Sure.
silliness of the question. We don't have any portables that are not currently being utilized, correct? Every single portable is somewhere in some way. I just had to ask.
We don't buy them unless we're going to place them somewhere, right?
Right, so
Yes.
we don't have a farm, okay.
Yeah, but they just get left where they were when things
Right.
change. Get used for storage. Okay, good. All right, so are we ready to, that was it. We don't have to take any, we do
Yes.
have to take some action.
Yes, we
Do we have a motion on the action necessary? Anyone?
I move to approve the relocatable, assignment of relocatable report.
Second. I second.
Ms. Ellis?
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Altwerger and a second by Ms. Ellis. Ms. Coombs?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Connor? Yes. Mr. Dibbin?
Yes.
Ms. Valencourt?
Yes.
Dr. Altwerger?
Yes.
Ms. Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Delmont-Small?
Yes.
Mrs. French?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you all very much. Okay.